Please, all of you be in mute mode. Somebody unmuted. Okay. Now I'm starting the session. Listen. See, in the previous class, we clearly discussed about what is Java, what is the purpose of Java, what are the parts of Java, and what are the features of Java. Okay. So what is Java? Java is the programming language. It is the general purpose programming language. So general purpose programming language means what? Using one language, we can develop many kinds of applications. Using one language, we can develop many kinds of applications. Okay, please, all of you be in mute mode. Somebody unmuted, please. Okay, see. So in the previous class, we discussed about what is Java and what is the purpose of Java. So this Java is the general purpose programming language. So general purpose means what? Using one language, we can develop many kinds of applications. Okay. So Babu, please be in mute mode. Please be in mute mode. Somebody unmuted. Sunil Sumbe. Sunil Sumbe. Okay. See, so this Java is the general purpose programming language. Means using one language, we can develop many kinds of applications. So according to the number of kinds of applications, two types are there. One is specific purpose programming languages. Another one is general purpose programming languages. Specific purpose programming languages means using one language, we can develop one kind of application only. Like using Fortran, we can develop scientific applications only. Using COBOL, we can develop business applications only. So like this, using one language, we can develop one kind of application only. Those languages are called specific purpose programming languages. Okay. And general purpose programming languages means using one language, we can develop many kinds of applications like C language, C++ language, Java language. These are the general purpose programming languages. Using C language, we can develop business applications, scientific applications, mathematical applications, and graphical applications. Using C++ also same. Okay, but using C++, we can develop only standalone applications. So standalone application means that is developed to run in one system. So that software must be installed in the machine to use that software, to use that application. So to use the application, that application must be installed in the machine, then only we can use. So that is intended to run in one system. In the system, we have to install the software, then use. So such type of softwares are called standalone applications like MS Office, Photoshop, Acrobat Reader, Calculator, Notepad. All these are what standalone applications only. The standalone applications can be also called as desktop applications. So using C++, we can develop standalone applications only. We cannot develop web applications or mobile applications. But using Java, you can develop standalone applications like MS Office, Photoshop, media players, etc. And we can also develop the web applications. Web applications means websites. We can develop the websites like gmail.com, oracle.com, durgasoft.com. So to develop such type of websites, also we can use Java. So what is web application? Web application means it is published in the remote system, in the remote machine. We are calling that as the web server. So in the web server, that website will be published, and we can access that website. We can access that website from our system. So I'm calling our system as client, that website published system as server. So from the client system, we are sending the request through with the help of browser, and with the help of network, that request will be gone to the server, and server sends dynamic web page to us. Okay, and we can view that one. So such type of applications are called web applications. Such type of applications are web applications. Okay. uh, Now we can also develop We can also develop mobile applications. Babu, somebody is unmuting every time. Please be in mute mode. Deepak Kumar, please be in mute mode. Okay. So using Java, we can develop standalone applications. Means the application developed to run in one system. We can develop web applications like websites, and we can develop mobile applications. Okay, so mobile applications means those are developed to run in the small devices like in the TV, in the smart watch, or in the smartphone, or in the tab, in the PDA, in such type of small devices. If you want to run our Java applications, we can run. Those applications are called mobile applications. So using Java, we can develop standalone applications, we can develop web applications, and we can develop mobile applications. So in the Java software, three parts are there. One is Java SE, another one is Java EE, another one is Java ME. So SE stands for Standard Edition, EE stands for Enterprise Edition, and ME stands for Micro Edition. Okay, if you want to practice core Java, you must install Java SE. Okay, if you want to develop the desktop applications or standalone applications, you must install Java SE. If you want to develop web applications, you must install Java E. Java E. If you want to develop mobile applications, you must install Java ME. So these are the three different parts of Java. Okay. Then also we discussed about features of Java. I have written the list of features of Java. Okay, what are the features? Like this Java is the platform independent programming language. It is the machine independent programming language. It is the pure object oriented programming language. Java is the compiled and interpreted programming language. It is a portable language. It is a simple and familiar language, robust language. It is a secured programming language, dynamic programming language. It is the distributed programming language. It is multi-threaded programming language, and it has high performance. Okay, these are the major features of Java. So among these, in the previous class, in the platform independent, in the previous class, we discussed about this part, platform independent programming language. So you have to understand what is platform dependency and what is platform independency. So all the languages which are introduced before Java are called platform dependent programming languages. All the languages which are introduced before Java are called platform dependent programming languages, like C language, C++ language. These are introduced before Java. So the C, C++ are the platform dependent programming languages, whereas all the languages which are introduced after Java, including Java, are called platform independent programming languages. Example: Java, C Sharp.net, VB.net, Python. These are what? These are the platform independent programming languages. Okay. So now you know what are platform dependent programming languages and what are platform independent programming languages. So C, C++ are the platform dependent programming languages, whereas this Java, Python, C Sharp, VB.net, these are the platform independent programming languages. So here, what is platform? Platform means the combination of operating system and microprocessor. Combination of operating system and microprocessor is called platform. Combination of operating system and microprocessor is called platform. Okay, so what are the examples of operating system? Like Windows operating system, Linux operating system, Unix operating system, Mac operating system. These are the examples of operating systems. What are the examples of microprocessors? Intel, Celeron, AMD. These are examples of microprocessor. Remember one point in the previous class also I explained, each and every operating system has its own language, and each and every microprocessor has also its own language. Okay, so Windows 10's language cannot be understood by the Unix or Linux or Mac. Okay, the Mac language cannot be understood by the Linux or Unix or Windows. So like that, each and every operating system has its own language. The language which can be understood by one operating system may not be understood by another operating system. Okay, so like that, for the microprocessors also, for the microprocessors also, each and every microprocessor has its own language. Okay, the instructions which can be understood by one microprocessor, the instructions, just a minute, the instructions, the instructions which can be understood by one microprocessor may not be understood by other microprocessors. So this the instructions which can be understood by Intel may not be understood by Celeron or AMD. The instructions which can be understood by Celeron may not be understood by Intel or AMD. Like that, each and every operating system has its own language. Each and every microprocessor has its own language. The instructions which can be understood by one platform may not be understood by another platform. Okay, so we are calling this C, C++ or the platform dependent programming languages. Why we are calling C, C++ as the platform dependent programming languages? Okay, so for this, in the previous class I explained, just a minute. Oh. So in the previous class we discussed why C or C++ are the platform dependent programming languages. I showed practically, so once again I'm repeating that. So after that continuation part, I will explain what is platform independent, and also I will discuss remaining features. Listen carefully here. Okay, now see the execution process of a C program. Execution process of a C program. C program execution. See here. Now this is a C program execution process. This is C program's execution process. So here we are writing the C program. This one is C program. I'm calling this code as source code. This code as source code. This cannot be understood by the computer. This is in high level language. Computer cannot understand this one. I am writing the program and I am storing this code in one particular file. I am giving file name as hello.c is the extension of C program. So we are writing the program and we are saving that program with hello name. So this program is in high level language. Computer cannot understand that one. So we have to compile this one. So compiler translate this high level code to the computer understandable code, low level code. Okay. So when you press Alt F9 key in the Windows, generally we use Alt F9 key for compilation. In the Turbo C editor, we use Alt F9 key. So when you press Alt F9 key, this source code will be translated to the machine code, and preprocessor directives will be stored as it is in a file. So when we compile the C program, a new file will be created. That file is called object file. Object file contains machine code and preprocessor directives. Preprocessor directive state will be stored as it is, and we have written some code. That code will be stored in the form of machine code. Okay, that file is called object file. So this object file is created. Object file will be created. So this object file has code. I want to run that one. So to run that, we have to press Control F9. Okay. So this preprocessor directive has also some code. For example, you are writing preprocessor directive hash include stdio.h. stdio header file has some 300 lines code that we have to translate to the machine code. So that will be translated to the machine code, and that code will be placed in another file. That file is called exe file. So this exe file has complete machine code. The preprocessor directives machine code, plus we have written some code, that machine code. So we have written some code, that machine code plus preprocessor directives machine code will be placed in one particular file. That file is called exe file. This exe file has complete machine code now. This machine code can be also called as native code, which this is operating system's language. So operating system's language is machine code, or you can say native code. Operating system can understand only machine code. So operating system can understand this language, so that displays output to us. This is the execution process of a C program. Once again, I'm repeating. We are writing C program. We are storing in one particular file. I am giving file name as hello. This is called source code. When we compile this program, object file will be created. When we run this program, exe file will be created. This exe file has complete mission code which can be understood by the operating system. Operating system displays output to us. So this is the execution process of a C program. Okay, so now this program we have written, somebody unmuted, please be in mute mode. Please be in mute mode. Babu, please be in mute mode. I'm getting disturbance, man. See, so this is the execution process of a C program. So this program we have written, assume this is a computer. So in this computer, Windows 10 operating system is there. So in this system, we have written this program. Now I want to run the same application. This is C programs application. This is developed by C language. This is the software developed by C language. I want to run in another computer. This is another computer which has the same operating system. So if you want to run this application in another system which has same operating system, you simply take this exe file. Take this exe file and place it here. So this exe file has machine code. This machine code generated according to the Windows 10 operating system and according to the microprocessor which is in this system. So Windows 10's machine code can be understood by Windows 10. So this has Windows 10's machine code. Windows 10's machine code can be understood by Windows 10. So we can run. So if same operating system is there, so this software developed in Windows 10 operating system. So if you want to run this software in another system, just simply take this exe file and place there. Can we run means? Yes, we can run. But same software, same application, I want to run in another machine. This is another machine which has Linux operating system. So if you want to run this application which is developed in the C language in another system which has Linux, if you place this exe file, can we run this exe file in this system? No, we cannot run because this exe file has Windows 10 native code, Windows 10 machine code. So Windows 10 machine code cannot be understood by the Linux. Windows 10 machine code cannot be understood by the Linux. So we cannot run this one. In such type of situations, we have to place this source code file again. We have to place this source code file again. Again, we have to compile. Again, we have to run in this system. Now, again, here exe file will be created according to the Linux. Then only you can run. So if same operating system is there, simply place exe file. If different operating system is there, we have to place this program, this source code. Okay, but generally to the client, we will not give source code. Okay, so again we are placing the source code there, again compiling, again running. So like that, if client is using 10 operating systems, okay, 10 times we have to do this process. So why this problem is occurring? Because of platform dependency. So this C application is depending on the operating system. So this C application has machine code. The C application has machine code which can be understood by the operating system. So one operating system's machine code cannot be understood by another operating system. So here C application is depending on operating system and microprocessor. That's why we are calling this C language or C++ language as the platform dependent programming languages. For the C++ also execution process is same. Okay, I hope you understood. In the yesterday class also I clearly explained. Now also I repeated. So this is about platform dependency. Remember one point in platform dependent programming languages. So here we are writing C program. We are writing C program means that is what? C source code. The point to understand is after compilation, it is creating what? Exe file. This exe file has what? Machine code. This exe file has mission code which can be understood by the operating system. So operating system gives output to us. This is the execution process. So when we compile the C program, exe file will be created. Okay, that exe file has mission code that can be understood by the operating system. So operating system displays output to us. So each and every operating system has its own language. So if same operating system is there, we can run that exe file. If different operating system is there, we cannot run the exe file. So this mission code is completely depending on operating system and microprocessor. So that's why we are calling this C and C++ as the platform dependent programming languages. Okay, now we are calling this Java as the platform independent programming language, or C#.NET as the platform independent programming language. Why we are calling this as the platform independent programming languages? Now I will explain. See, listen carefully here. So to understand this, so this is the in the features of Java. First feature I have written as a platform independent programming language. So before Java, this feature was not there. So you are developing the software in one machine, in one operating system, means client must use that operating system only. Then only he can use that software. Okay, otherwise again we have to compile the program, again we have to run that program in his system which has different operating system. So such type of problems will occur due to the platform dependency. So you must tell the client you must use this operating system only. So software company has to tell the client that you must use this operating system only. Okay, my software supports to this operating system only. You have to tell like that. Okay, otherwise you have to compile your application in each and every machine. Such type of problems are occurring due to the platform dependent programming languages. Okay, so to avoid this problem, they introduced in the Java, they added a feature, that is platform independency feature. This Java is the platform independent programming language. Okay, so in the execution process, some uh, they changed one thing here. What is that? I will explain. So in the platform dependent programming languages, when we compile when we compile what will happen? Exe file will be created. In the platform dependent programming languages, when we compile, exe file will be created that has operating systems language. Only that operating system can understand, other operating systems cannot understand that exe file code. So that's why we are calling C++ or the platform dependent. So why Java is the platform independent? Because see, I will explain the execution process of a Java program. Okay, so try to understand. Now I will explain execution process of a Java program. Try to understand, listen. Okay, so this is Java programs execution process. Okay, now I am writing a Java program here. I am writing a Java program. This is the Java program. Okay, so we are writing that code. That code is called source code. This is in high level language. I am storing that in one particular file. I am giving that file name as hello. .java is the extension of a Java program. For the C program, .c is the for the C program, .c is the extension. Okay, for the CPP program, .cpp is the extension. Like that, for the Java program, .java is the extension. So I am giving file name as hello. So hello.java file is created. In that file, source code is there. This is in high level language. Computer cannot understand that one. So we have to compile this one. So to compile the Java program, this is the source code. This is in high level language. Computer cannot understand that one. So to compile the Java program, we use one command. What is that command? Java C command. So when we use this Java C command, another file will be created. Another file will be created. This Java compiler translate source code to the bytecode. That bytecode will be placed in one particular file. So what Java compiler is doing? Java compiler is not creating exe file directly. Whereas in case of C, in case of C, after compilation, it is creating exe file. In case of C, after compilation, it is creating exe file. Whereas in case of Java, when we compile the Java program, this source code will be translated to the bytecode. That is not translating to the machine code. Okay, this is the very important part. In the C language, when you are compiling the source code, that is translating to the machine code directly. Whereas in case of Java, when you are compiling the Java program, this source code will be translated into the bytecode. Okay, so in some languages we call this as bytecode. In Java we call this as bytecode. In Python also we call this as bytecode. In C sharp we call it as the IL code, intermediate language code. So this is intermediate code. This is the intermediate code. In Java, that intermediate code is called bytecode. So in platform independent programming languages, in platform independent programming languages, after compilation, intermediate code will be generated. In Java, that intermediate code is called bytecode. So after compilation, source code will be translated to the bytecode. That bytecode will be placed in one particular file that gives a main method's class name as the file name. So here the tag gives file name as hello here. Assume that main method's class name as hello. So that gives hello as the name here. Dot class is the extension of bytecode file. For the source code file, extension is .java. For the bytecode file, extension is .class. So this .class file will be created. This file has bytecode. Now I want to run this bytecode. Listen carefully. So this bytecode can be understood by JVM only. This bytecode can be understood by JVM only. So JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine. JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine. JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine. So what is this JVM? This JVM is a software. What is JVM? JVM is a software. Why we are using it? It is used to run the Java applications. So to run the Java applications, one special software is required. To run the Java applications, one special software is required. That special software is called JVM. So JVM stands for Java Virtual Machine. It is a software used to run the Java applications. So if you want to run the Java applications in the machine, we must install this JVM, because only this JVM can understand this bytecode. No other software can understand this code. This bytecode is very secured. No one can understand this one except JVM. So JVM can understand this code. So JVM translates this bytecode to the machine code now. JVM translates bytecode to the machine code. Okay, so that machine code will be placed in one particular file. Okay, that file's extension is .exe. So now the .exe file is created. In platform dependent programming languages, when we compile directly, machine code file will be created, exe file will be created. Whereas in platform dependent programming languages, when we compile, one intermediate file will be created. When we compile, one intermediate file will be created. Okay, that file has bytecode. This, to run this bytecode, one software is required, that is JVM. Only JVM can understand this code. So JVM translates bytecode to the machine code according to the operating system and microprocessor in that machine. Now this machine has Windows 10. So this exe file has Windows 10's machine code. Okay. Now this is the software. This is the application developed in Java, developed in this machine. Okay, so till here, once again I'm repeating. Now I'm explaining the execution process of a Java program. Again, listen carefully. We are writing a Java program. That code is called source code. Okay, I'm storing that with the name hello.java is the extension. We are compiling that program by using Java C command. When we compile the Java program, source code will be translated to the bytecode. That bytecode will be placed in one particular file. Okay, that file's extension is .class. So compiler translates source code to the bytecode. This only JVM can understand this bytecode. So to run the Java application, JVM is required. To run the Java application, a special software is required, that is called JVM, Java Virtual Machine. Okay, only JVM can understand this bytecode that translates bytecode to the machine code according to the operating system installed in the machine. So here, in this case, when you use this Java command, JVM execution will be started. JVM will be started that translates bytecode to the machine code and that places machine code in the exe file. Okay, that generates this machine code according to Windows 10 operating system. Now, this is the software developed by Java in Windows 10 machine. I want to run in another machine. This is another machine that has Windows 10 operating system. Okay, now I want to run this Java application in another system. Now what we have to do, simply take this bytecode file, place in that machine. So that is hello.class file. So hello.class file we are placing in another machine. So now this hello.class file has bytecode. Who can understand this bytecode? Only JVM can understand this bytecode. So here, simply take this bytecode file and place in another machine. Okay, but to run this bytecode, to run this Java application, we must install what? JVM. So install the JVM. The JVM translate this bytecode to the machine code. Okay, they translate this bytecode to the machine code according to Windows 10 operating system. So Windows 10 can understand this code. So the displays output to us. So if same operating system is there, simply we are placing bytecode file. If different operating system is there, then also we place the bytecode file only. Okay, for example, assume that the second machine has Linux operating system. The second machine has Linux operating system. I want to run this Java application here. Simply take this bytecode file and place here. Okay, so this file has bytecode which can be understood by JVM. So JVM translates this bytecode to the machine code according to which operating system? Linux. So Linux can understand this machine code. Okay, so you can run the Java application. Similarly, in the next machine, Unix operating system is there. Then also take this bytecode file and place here. Here JVM translates this bytecode to the machine code according to the Unix operating system. So now Unix can understand that machine code, so that displays output to us. So hence we can run the Java application on any operating system and on any microprocessor. Combination of operating system and microprocessor is called platform. So that's why we are calling Java is the platform independent programming language. So whatever the operating system is there in the client machine, okay, that just simply take the bytecode file and place in the client machine. Simply take the bytecode file and place in the client machine. So here operating system is not responsible to run it. JVM is responsible to run it. Okay, so that's why this JVM is translating according to the operating system and microprocessor which is in that machine. So because of this bytecode, because of this JVM, so because of this bytecode, this Java became platform independent. Okay, so in the platform independent programming languages, see, the platform dependent programming languages, after compilation exe file will be created. That exe file has machine code which can be understood by operating system. Whereas in case of platform independent programming languages, for example, here Java source code is there. Java source code. So what we do, we compile this one. So when we compile the Java program, it is not creating exe file. It is translating source code to the bytecode. So compiler is translating source code to the bytecode. Okay, so here intermediate code will be generated. Intermediate code will be generated in platform dependent programming languages. Intermediate code will be generated in platform independent programming languages. Okay, see, in platform dependent programming languages, after compilation direct exe file will be created. Whereas in case of platform independent programming languages, after compilation one intermediate code will be generated. In Java we call that as bytecode. So bytecode will be generated. Who is responsible to run this bytecode? JVM. So JVM translates this bytecode to the machine code. JVM translates this bytecode to the machine code according to the operating system and microprocessor which is installed in that system. So here, because of this bytecode, our Java application became platform independent. Because who is running this bytecode? JVM is running this bytecode. Operating system is not running this one. Whereas in case of C or C++, when we compile directly, exe file will be created. Who runs this exe file? OS. So that's why the C, C++ are the platform dependent. Java, C Sharp.NET, VB.NET, Python, these are called platform independent. In case of C Sharp, what will happen? For example, we are adding C Sharp source code. C Sharp source code. We compile this one. So C Sharp compiler translates this to the intermediate code. In C Sharp language, we call that as IL code. IL stands for intermediate language code. So the translate to run this, we use one special software. That is what? That is .NET framework. So to run the .NET applications, we use one special software. That is what? .NET framework. So this .NET framework translates IL code to the machine code. It translates IL code to the machine code, which can be understood by the operating system. So operating system displays the result to us. So this is C Sharp program execution process. So in platform, here the point to understand is, in platform independent programming languages, after compilation, one intermediate code will be generated. In Java, we are calling that as bytecode. In Python also, we are calling that as bytecode. In C Sharp, we are calling that as IL code. So who is responsible to run this bytecode? To run this intermediate code, one special software is required to run intermediate code. So here I'm writing that point. After compilation, intermediate code will be generated. Intermediate code will be generated in platform independent programming languages. So to run this code, a special software is required. To run this code, a special software is required. For example, to run the Java application, JVM is required. To run the C Sharp code, IL code, to run the IL code, .NET framework is required. .NET framework is required. So one special software is required to run the application. So in the Java, to run the Java application, one special software is required. What is that one? JVM. So it translates bytecode to the machine code. Okay. So here in the client system, directly we are placing bytecode file. To run that, we are installing JVM. The JVM is translating bytecode to the machine code according to the operating system and microprocessor installed. So that's why we are calling Java is the platform independent programming language. I hope you understood. This is about platform independency. So Java is the platform independent programming language. But remember, this JVM is the platform dependent. JVM is the platform dependent. So this Windows operating systems JVM software and this Linux operating systems JVM software is different. Okay, this JVM is operating system dependent. So JVM is platform dependent, whereas this bytecode is platform independent. Okay, understood that, and remember that point. Okay, now this is about platform independent programming language. Okay, so I explained very clearly about platform independent programming language. I hope you understood. Next feature is, I'm calling Java as the mission independent programming language. So this Java is the mission independent programming language. I'm calling Java as the mission independent programming language. So here you have to understand what is mission dependency and what is mission independency. So what is mission dependency? What is mission dependency and what is mission independency? Okay. See, almost all the languages which are introduced before Java, all the languages which are introduced before Java, means Java officially announced in 1995. So before 1995, several programming languages are there, like C language, C++ language. These are called mission dependent programming languages. So C, C++ are called mission dependent programming languages. Why we are calling C, C++ as the mission dependent programming languages? See, using the programming language, we are developing the softwares. Okay, you can say that as application. So using the programming language, we are developing the application, or you can say that as software application software. So using the programming language, we are developing application software. So the application developed in C, C++, the application developed in C, C++ can run on computer only, can run on computer only. The application developed in C, C++. So the software developed in C, C++ can run on computer only. We cannot run on other devices. We cannot run on other devices. Other devices. Okay, such as what are those other devices? Like I want to run my application in the router. I want to run my application in the setup box. I want to run my application in the switch. I want to run my application in the smartphone. So such type of devices. In such type of devices, in the smartphone, in the smartwatch, in the switches, routers, setup boxes, okay, in such type of devices, you cannot run this software, which is developed by using C, C++. So the software developed by using C, C++ can run on computer only. We cannot run on other electronic devices like router, set-top boxes, etc. So that's why we are calling C, C++ languages or machine dependent programming languages. So machine dependent programming language means those applications can run on one machine only. Those applications can run on one type of electronic device only. We cannot run on many other electronic devices. So example, C, C++ are the machine dependent programming languages. The software developed by using C, C++ can run on computer only. We cannot run on other electronic devices. So that's why we are calling C, C++ as the machine dependent programming languages. Okay. Then what is machine independency? Okay. So all the languages, almost all the languages which are introduced, after Java, including Java is also mission independent, including Java are the machine independent programming languages. So the languages which are introduced after 1995, okay, including Java, are called mission independent programming languages. So examples are Java is the mission independent programming language. Okay, like that C#.NET is the mission independent programming language. Okay, VB.NET is the mission independent programming language. So these are mission independent programming languages. So what is mission independent programming language? Means the application developed in the application developed in this language the application developed in this language can run on many machines, What are those machines? Such as I'm giving the list. Okay, we can run on computer. Not only on computer, we can also run on router. We can run our Java application on set-top boxes. We can run our Java application on Blu-ray DVD players. Okay, we can run our Java application on smartphones. We can run Java application on smartwatches. We can run Java application on switches. Okay, like this it supports to billions of devices. Okay, on ATM machines. Okay, on smart cards. So like this it supports to several machines. So on so the software developed in Java, so using Java programming language we are developing the software. That software we can run on many machines. Not only computer. Okay, but also we can run on many electronic devices like routers, set-top boxes, Blu-ray DVD players, tabs, smartphones, personal digital assistants. Like this it's on billions of devices, on billions of devices on billions of devices we can run this Java application. See, this C, using C, C++ language we can develop the software. Using Java language also we can develop the software, but the software developed in C++ can run on computer only. But the software developed in Java we can run on many machines. So which one is useful here? Automatically Java is useful. So this mission independency brought so many changes in the software industry, and platform independency feature also brought so many changes in the software industry. So because of these two reasons, because of these two features, because of platform independency and because of mission independency, these two features brought so many changes in the software field. Before Java language, those two features were not there. These two features brought so many changes in the software field. So because of these two reasons, Java became so much fame. Okay, so this is about platform independency and mission independency. So shortly, you can say platform independency means Java application means the application developed in Java. Okay, so Java application can run on any operating system. Java application can run on any microprocessor, and a Java application can run on any machine like computer, TV, smartphone, etc. Okay, so this is about platform independency and mission independency. And next feature is pure object oriented. I'm calling Java as the pure object oriented programming language. Listen carefully here. Listen carefully. Next feature is pure object oriented programming language. This Java is the pure object oriented programming language. So we are calling Java as the pure object oriented programming language. We are calling Java as the pure object oriented programming language. Okay, why we are calling this Java as a pure object oriented programming language? See, first, what is object oriented? Object oriented means if any language, if any language that supports to four concepts. What are those four concepts? Encapsulation, abstraction, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. Okay, just try to understand what is encapsulation, what is abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. I will cover in the further classes, no problem. Okay, just to try to understand, object oriented programming language means that language has to support four concepts. What are those four concepts? Those four concepts are encapsulation. So that language must support encapsulation, that language must support abstraction, that language must support inheritance, and that language must support polymorphism. If any language that supports to all these four concepts, we call that language as the object oriented programming language. We call that language as the object oriented programming language. If any language that supports to encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. If any language that supports to all these four concepts, these are called OOPS concepts, object-oriented programming system concepts. If any language that supports to these four concepts, we call that language as the object-oriented programming language. See, before Java, we were using another language, C++ language. The C++ language supports to encapsulation. The C++ language supports to abstraction, C++ language supports to inheritance, and C++ language supports to the polymorphism. So you can say this is C++ as the object-oriented programming language. This is the object-oriented programming language. Like that, Java also supports to these four concepts: encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. So you can say this is Java as the object-oriented. But I am using a term here. I'm calling Java is the pure object oriented and C++ as the object oriented only. Whereas C language is there. The C language supports to encapsulation. C language user defined data type structure is there. That is what encapsulation. User defined data type structure. Your defining structure means encapsulation. Okay, and abstraction is there. Okay, that is hiding the implementation details. Abstraction is there, but it does not support to the inheritance and polymorphism. So C is not object oriented programming language. C is the procedure oriented programming language. C is the procedure oriented programming language. So here, what is procedure oriented? What is procedure oriented? So this procedure oriented means one style. Procedure oriented programming has one style. Object oriented programming has another style. Procedure oriented program means we write program in the form of functions. We write the program in the form of functions. For example, C program. C program we are writing in the form of functions. C program we are writing in the form of functions. Like this you are defining. This is function 1. Okay, in the function 1 you are writing some code. Then you are defining function 2. Like this you can define any number of functions. You can define any number of functions. Here you are writing some code. So finally we define what? Main. Finally we define main. From the main we call functions. From the main we call the functions. Okay, I'm calling f1 function. Okay, like that I'm calling f2 function. So from the main function we're calling this function. So this style is called procedure oriented style. Procedure oriented style means we write program in the form of functions. Whereas object oriented style means we write program in the form of object oriented style. Object oriented style means we write program in the form of object oriented, means we write program in the form of classes and objects. We write program in the form of classes and objects, that is object oriented. So we write the program in the form of classes and objects. So we write like this: class, then we give the class name. Here we give the class name. So in the class we define several properties. What are these things? Again I will explain, again I will cover in the previous classes. Just to try to understand. In the class we define several properties and methods. Okay, so like this you can define any number of classes. Okay, so see here, object oriented, the point to understand here is procedure oriented means we write program in the form of functions. Object oriented means we write program in the form of classes. Like later we create object for that class. Okay, and we can use those properties and methods. So object oriented means we write the program in the form of classes. Procedure oriented means we write program in the form of functions. Okay, just in the beginning, just remember this point. Procedure oriented means we write program in the form of functions. Object oriented means we write program in the form of classes and objects. So this is one programming style. Object oriented is one programming style. Procedure oriented is one programming style. Okay, I am calling this a Java as the pure object oriented programming language, whereas C++ I am calling as the object oriented programming language. Because listen carefully here, this is C++ supports encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism. No doubt about it. It is the object oriented programming language. But C++ program we can write in two styles. C++ program we can write in two styles. One is procedure oriented style. Means in the form of functions. Another one is object oriented style. Object oriented style means in the form of classes. So we can write this C++ program in the C style, like procedure oriented style, or C++ style or classes in the form of classes and objects. So we can write in two ways. C++ program we can write in two ways. So that's why we are calling this as object oriented only. This is not pure object oriented, because outside of the class also we can define the members. Okay, assume that this is one C++ program. This is one C++ program. In the C++ program we can declare global variables. Means I'm defining outside of the class. Here I'm giving class name as ABC. Okay, here this is the class, and main method we define outside of the class. Okay, so here we are defining main method outside of the class, and this global variable. Okay, this is global variable. This variable is called global variable. So we are defining this global variable outside of the class, and we are defining main method outside of the class. Outside of the class also we can define the members in a C++. In C++. So that's why we are not calling C++ as the pure object oriented programming language. C++ is not a pure object oriented programming language because we can define the members outside of the class. So here X is the member, it is the variable, main is the member, it is the function. We are defining main function and X variable outside of the class as per object oriented programming standards. So first they prepared some concepts, oops concepts they developed in the 1950s. In the 1950s, in the late 1950s, they developed oops concepts. Based on those oops concepts, they developed languages like C++ language, Java language, etc. As per object oriented programming concepts, as per object oriented programming standards, each and every member, each and every member means that may be variable or function, each and every member should be defined in class. Each and every member should be defined inside of class. In C++, we can define global variable outside of class. We can define main method outside of class. So we can define the members outside of the class in C++. And below of this, if you want to write any functions like this, you can write, because you can write the C++ program in procedure oriented style as well as object oriented style. So we can define the members outside of the class. That's why this C++ is not pure object oriented. C++ is not pure object oriented. Not pure object oriented. This is interview question. Very important. Why C++ is not pure object oriented? Because the C++ program we can write in two styles. One is procedure oriented style and another one is object oriented style. Procedure oriented style means we write in the form of functions. Object oriented style means we write in the form of classes. We can write C++ program in the form of functions as well as in the form of classes. So as per object oriented programming standards, each and every member should be inside of class. In C++, we can define the members outside of the class, like global variables we are defining outside of the class, and main method we are defining outside of the class, and in any other functions we can define outside of the class. So we can define the members outside of the class in C++. So that's why this C++ is not pure object oriented programming language. Whereas in Java, each and every member, each and every member, each and every member we define, each and every member we define inside of class. Each and every member we define inside of class. Because of this reason, this Java is called, pure object oriented programming language. Because of this reason, this Java is called pure object oriented programming language. So why Java is the pure object oriented programming language? We can write the program in the form of classes and objects only. We cannot write procedure. We cannot write the program in the form of procedure oriented style. We cannot define members outside of the class. There is no global variables concept in Java. We cannot define the functions outside of the class. Okay, each and every member should be inside of the class. In Java, we define each and every member inside of the class. Without class, we cannot write even single program. So to write Java program, minimum one class is required. Minimum one class is required, like this, including main also we write in the class only. So public, static, void, main, string, array, s. What is this one? I will explain in the further classes. We write Java program like this. This is the starting point of main, this is the ending point of main. In between that we write the code. So what is main is the entry point of the program. Each and every program execution starts from main, so this code will get executed like this. To write a program, to write a Java program, minimum one class is required. Like this, you can define any number of classes. You can define any number of classes here. Like this, you can define any number of classes. So here we are writing the program in the form of classes and objects. Without class, without class, say outside of the class, we are not defining any members. Each and every member we are defining inside of the class only. So to write a Java program, minimum one class is required. So that's why we are calling this Java as the pure object oriented programming language. That's it. Okay. So all these are interview questions. Why Java is the platform independent programming language? Why Java is the machine independent? Why Java is the pure object oriented? Such type of questions will ask in the interviewer may ask such type of questions. So why Java is platform independent programming language? Because of bytecode. After compilation, it generates bytecode. Who is responsible to translate bytecode to the machine code? JVM. JVM is translating bytecode to the machine code. So because of that bytecode, this Java became platform independent. Okay, this Java is the machine independent because this Java software, the software developed by Java can run on many machines like computers, smartphones, tabs, routers, Blu-ray, DVD players, etc. Okay, that's why it is the machine independent programming language, and this Java is the pure object oriented programming language. Why? As per object oriented programming standards, each and every member should be defined inside of the class. So in Java, we are defining each and every member inside of the class. So you can say this Java is a pure object oriented. Whereas C++ is not pure object oriented because this in the C++ outside of the class we can define the members. Outside of the class you can declare global variable. Outside of the class you can define the function. So the C++ is not pure object oriented, whereas Java is the pure object oriented programming language. Okay. So till here I stop the session. So today we discussed three features clearly. In the next class, I will explain all these remaining features. Okay. Now I'm stopping the session. Okay. Now, if you have any doubts, you can ask, please, regarding this topic. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Okay. Shall I stop the session? If you don't have any doubts, you can leave the session. If you have any doubts, please ask. Okay. Thanks to all. Shall I stop the session? Thanks to all. Okay. Now I'm stopping the session. Tomorrow I will explain. Okay. Now I'm stopping the session. Okay. Thanks to all. Meet you tomorrow.